Hello, welcome back to the Appraisal Doctor. This is Dr. Aria A. Wilson, PhD in Urban Planning, Certified Residential Appraisal. I am happy that you have stopped here to see the Appraisal Doctor today. The question that we'll be tackling today is, how is the appraisal value always equal to the sales price? Is this appraisal always accurate? Is it predetermined that that value needs to be the same? Stick around and let's see. How is the appraisal report value always, most times, pre-planned to be equal to the sales price in a residential mortgage situation? Now, in appraisal, the short answer would be the best comparable to a property is the same property. So if there is a transaction being conducted on a contract and there's a sales price agreed between buyer and seller, that would be, in a perfect world, the perfect best comparable, the best sales price, the best value opinion for the appraiser to arrive at. Let's get into a little bit more detail. So the first thing I said was the best comparable is the subject property. Why is that? Well, in appraisal and in the world of real estate, no two properties are alike. There are no two properties that are identical. Why? It can have the same square footage, it can have the same land area, it can have the same characteristics in terms of the property construction details, the architectural design, the roof, everything can be the same. But guess what cannot be the same? The location. How is that? You could be on the same street, right beside each other, and you do not have identical location. Why? If you're to get technical, to my left, to my right, or north, south, west, east of the property would have to be the same for the location to be the same. So if I am 5 South Drive and my neighbor is 7 South Drive, it means that whoever is to my south, my north, my west, and my east would be different. That means the location is different. It is impossible for two properties to have the exact location. So that is why in geodata, in GIS, there is always a locational data difference between one property and the other. That's why you can have a geolocator. So because no two properties are alike, it means that if the subject property has a transaction that is pretty much waiting to be closed, there's an agreement between buyer and seller, that number would be the perfect number for that particular property in terms of the opinion of value according to the market, except there are special circumstances that are within that transaction. The sales price typically is going to be that market value, except there are some special situations surrounding the transaction. Now, in the market value for a residential property would be whatever the intersection is between what is agreed with the seller and the buyer. Now, if the seller says that they would like $200,000 for a house that is being sold, it's listed at $200,000. A buyer comes along and says, hey, I am willing to buy the property, but I am willing to buy the property at a $180,000. That means that would not be the market value. The market value has to be where both parties agree, where there's an intersection of demand and supply. So the buyer in this scenario is willing to pay $180,000 for this residential property. The seller is asking for $200,000. Say they come to the table of negotiation and they agree to $190,000. That $190,000 is now the market price. It's now the price that is agreed by both seller and buyer and now forms the market value. So if an appraiser comes in to do an appraisal report for the bank to close on that transaction, it should be the sales price if all other things are equal. That is the reason why the appraisal report, the opinion of value of the appraiser, usually equates to that market value, usually defines the market value, and that market value is usually equal to the sales price, providing all other things are equal. In an open market, with open information, no special circumstances involved. Thank you for joining me today on the Appraisal Doctor. I hope this answers your question. And if you have any questions that are burning that you really want to ask the Appraisal Doctor, ask me in the comments below. Let me know what your questions are and I will address it next time. See you next week on the Appraisal Doctor.